welcome back to this day 19. Wow, can you believe it? Day 19 of our 50-day property challenge. Brought to you by the EDPS Property Academy and Private Property. Once again, we welcome our friends Jared Ricketts and Matt L to this discussion as we help and guide them through their challenge to purchase, for Jared, his very first property, but for Matt L, her third property in trying to build her property portfolio. Welcome, guys, and thank you again for joining us today to talk about, today we want to talk about the 2 reasons why people invest in property. So guys, thank you for joining us and welcome again.
No problem.
All right, awesome. So what I want to do, I just want to bring my presentation up because I would like to share with our audience as well what we are doing and for them to understand exactly where we are at. Can you guys see that presentation, changing the landscape of property? There we go.
Yes, I can.
Awesome. Fortunately, I have one of these little toggle things, so I can change my screen quite easily and I don't have to go to my computer again. Okay, so today we want to talk about finding good deals. Sorry, I spoke about the 2 reasons that's wrong. We actually today want to talk about finding good deals. And what I want to say to you right up front, there are no good deals out there. I'm going to repeat that because a lot of people will be shocked by what I'm saying. There are no good deals out there. And I'll tell you why. Finding good deals, first of all, is close to impossible. Thousands of people are looking for the same deal that you are. By the time you eventually find it on Property 24, Private Property, or any of the other platforms that are out there, sometimes, and in most cases, it's already too late. What you need to do is remove yourself from the Shark Tank. Now, this is not the Shark Tank, the movie or the show. This is just the Shark Tank that you are in, trying to swim in these shark-infested waters looking for property, because there are lots of sharks out there looking for the same deals that you are looking for. What you need to do is develop the ability to spot a potential in the deal. You need to develop a strategy and make sure that your agents know what you're looking for. Those agents that we spoke about earlier in terms of them looking out for deals that you want, deals that make sense to you, deals that bring you a return that you can feel comfortable with, a return on investment, that is. Then you also have to watch the repossession market, or the repo market as they call it. You need to find agents that deal in repossession of properties. You need to find lawyers and banks that do these kinds of things. Now, these are the kinds of properties that where people are unable to pay their bonds, and the banks have now repossessed and they put it back on the market for sale. So these are the kinds of properties that you want to look out for, where it is maybe not easier, but because there's a lot of people that want to do this thing, but it is a market where you can find property at a really good price. Then you need to develop a good team. These will include a town planner, architect, quantity surveyor, a lawyer, accountant, agents, real estate agents, and sourcing agents as well. What is a sourcing agent? A sourcing agent is somebody that will look for deals on your behalf. They will package it and they will sell it to you and get a sourcing fee. They act very much like real estate agents, but they are not actually real estate agents. They will find a deal, package it, and sell it to you. Whereas a real estate agent finds the deal and the seller of the property sells it to you through the agent. So that's the critical difference between a real estate agent and a sourcing agent. So you need to build yourself a team. And why do you need to build yourself a team? Because not only do you need to find people that are going out there looking for deals for you, you also need to find people that if you find a deal where you can do a bit of a renovation, that the team can put together a plan, like, for example, a town planner, a quantity surveyor, an architect who will draw the plans. A town planner will make sure that you don't fall foul of the municipal bylaws and that you are within the zoning capacity of that property. And then on top of that, you need somebody that's going to be able to run the numbers for you. That's a quantity surveyor. Then you need an accountant who will look at the tax implications, etc., of what you're trying to achieve. And you need a lawyer that's going to be able to put together all the legal aspects, whether it's a trust, a PTY, or any of that sort of thing. So you need that team. Now, we spoke a little bit about some of that before, and we'll speak a little bit about the rest of it later in this 50-day challenge. And like I said, just follow us and follow the YouTube channel as well as our website, and you learn all about these things. But developing a good team is highly important. Then investigate the zoning in the area of the city you're living in. Each municipal area has its own zoning scheme regulations. What you need to do is to search, download, print, and study the regulations of your investment area. Because if you know and understand the regulations that the city or the municipality has put in place for your area that you want to invest in, then you'll know what you'll be able to do. So, for example, if you find a building that is zoned business 1, then you can do things like put maybe a shop at the bottom and some apartments on top. Business 2, you could do a mixed use development. There's all sorts of things that you can do with business rights. So understand the zoning and the rights that you have, not only of your property that you want to buy, but the area that you are in general. All right. So ultimately, at the end of the day, you are the one that's going to make the deal. What I'm saying here is, before I said there are no good deals, you, by doing all these things, are going to make the deal a good deal. You will take an ordinary deal, and by using this methodology, turn that deal into a good deal. So let's talk about spotting good opportunities as opposed to good deals, rather. What you need to look out for is properties that is a house maybe with business rights GB1 or SR2. In that way, you can do all sorts of things with that property. Like I said earlier, maybe put some retail at the bottom or office and convert the top maybe into residential and so on and so forth. You could then build on. What you need to be careful of, though, is that you must make sure that the height restrictions within that zoning allows you to build up, that the amount or extent of the property that you can use is exactly what you require for what you want to build. So let's say, for example, the usage of your area is only 50% and you've got a 200 square meter plot. That means that you can only use 100 square meters of the actual land. But if the property allows, or the zoning allows you to go up, say 25 meters, you can then build an apartment block that is 100 square meters in size, but you can do maybe 3 or 4 walk-up. You can do walk-ups in terms of maybe building apartments upward until you hit the 25-meter mark. So those are the kinds of things that you can do. And if you can find a house, for example, with GB1 or SR2 rights, you'll be able to do that kind of thing with that property. So it's not about the house specifically. It is about what you can do with the property and the land. And that will be determined by the zoning. So you can find a house with GB1 or SR2 or a single residential unit that has rights for apartments. That's GR2. Finding a commercial unit with accommodation rights, that's GB4, or finding a property that is in a bad condition and ready for some TLC. That doesn't need additional building, but just literally maybe giving a bit of a paint and a polish, maybe fixing up the flooring, maybe cleaning out the toilets and the bathrooms, putting in new showers, putting in new cupboards, picking it up at a low price because it's derelict, and then doing a few TLC, spit and polish in order to get it to a better state. So those are the kinds of things that you can do, and you can learn more about that on our website. We've got quite a bit of free education stuff that we've done there, and we talk about this very thing in that free tab. You can just click on the free tab link there for you to learn more about that. Okay, then you need to make money when you buy. Now, Jared, Matt, Alan, and I have already spoken a little bit about this, but just as a refresher, number one, you need to buy below market. What do I mean by that? Normally, a seller will want full price. And in fact, most times, sellers want more than what the property actually is worth. So they'll want you to pay 5 million when actually the market is dictating 4 million, as an example. What you need to do is not just push the seller down to the 4 million mark. You actually need to push them down even further. And there's a reason for this. Number one, most people forget that when they purchase a property, the purchaser or the buyer has to pay all the legal costs. Sometimes there's a cost that you have to pay to the government, and that's transfer duty. Sometimes you have to pay VAT because it's a company that's selling to you. And sometimes you don't have to pay that, but in every single case you have to pay the legal fees, the transfer cost that the attorney has to do the transfer. You have to pay the attorney, and you have to pay the bond costs to the attorney as well. So there are costs related to your property that you have to pay upfront. And in most cases, you have to pay that as the buyer in cash. In most cases, you can't include that in the bond because the bank in most cases will not pay for those things on your behalf. Unless you're a first-time buyer and you're buying a home that you're going to live in. Then the bank may give you 105 or even up to 110%, where you can then use that 5 or 10% as part of the costs and not even pay a deposit. In most cases, the bank, if you're a first-time homeowner, they will allow you to do that sort of thing. But here we're talking about investments. So you need to be sure that you have the money available to pay for all those legal costs. And possibly even if your house or the property that you're buying is more than R1 million, you also have to pay transfer duties. All right, so that's the first thing. The second reason why you want to buy under market value is because if something goes wrong and you've decided to purchase this property as a buy-to-let. A buy-to-let, what we mean, you purchase the property and then you rent it out to somebody. Whether that is to one family or an individual person or a multitude of people in a multi-let, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you're purchasing the property as an investment and you're renting it out to somebody. Okay. Now, if something goes wrong and your tenants don't pay anymore and you've now evicted them, but you can't find a new tenant, what do? Do you take money out of your pocket to continue to pay the bond, or do you sell the property? That's a decision you'll have to make. But let's, for this discussion, assume that you cannot afford to pay the bond. Now, either you decide to sell the property or the bank is going to repossess your property and then you're going to become one of those victims that somebody else is going to pick up the property on the repo list. So the best bet then for you is to say, okay, I can't afford to maintain this thing. I'm going to sell my property. Now, if you have purchased below market value, then it means that when you put it back on the market, you can then try and sell it at market value so that you can at least get your money back and maybe even make a little bit of a profit, especially since you got into trouble. But you've got that leeway to play with, that because you've purchased under market value, you can then sell it at or below market value yourself without having lost any money. So that is the most important thing, making money when you buy. The first part is buying below market value. So you've already made money in what the property is worth versus what you've actually paid. All right. Then buy property with potential. So we always talk about buying the worst property on the best street. So if you look at down the street, there's 20 properties down there. 19 of them are in a very good shape and they're all selling for 1.2 million rand. But the property right in the corner there, that's derelict. The owners didn't look after it, or the tenants didn't look after it. The toilets are broken, the shower is broken, there are no shower doors, the tiles have all been ripped up. You can easily pick that property up for a much lower price. So looking at the property that has potential, where you can then get it way below the market value, put in some TLC, and then sell it potentially at market value. Or if you're building a property for long-term rental, then hold on to it and you can get a much better rental than possibly the previous owner would have had. So those two things are very important when you purchase a property and making money when you buy and not when you sell. Then the next step is to take advantage of other people's money. The best way to create and build your property portfolio is not to just look inside your own pockets or your own savings, but looking at other people's money. And we've spoken quite a bit between the three of us about using other people's money and how to use other people's money. But there's also a thing called other people's time. So what you could do, we spoke about your professionals earlier. You could get your professionals to agree to give time. So if you need to redo a bathroom, for example, you can get your contractor to come in and redo the bathroom at his or her cost. And then when you sell the property, they get a portion of the profits. So you then personally would not have to take money out of your pocket or your bond in order to do that renovation, because your builder or your contractor has actually paid for it by bringing their labor and their cost. Okay, so you can use either other people's money or other people's time and compensate them for their time by profit share in the deal. Now, if they are in agreement with you that they possibly stay in long term and they can even then get of the rental income as part of the profit, then you can actually own a big chunk of a property portfolio where your professionals also share in that profit. But what the advantage of that is that you have them, it's almost like you've got a captive audience, a group of people who are professionals in what they do that you can use over and over and over again because they've got a share in your business. And it will be to their advantage to make sure that the property portfolio that you started becomes one that is significant and brings everybody a good return. All right, then we talk about buying cash flow positive properties. We chatted a little bit about this over the last couple of days, but basically what you need to do in order to buy cash flow positive properties, number one, determine your strategy. Don't go in there looking at properties not knowing what your strategy is, and then only looking at properties and going, oh, I like this property because it looks nice. No. You first have to determine your strategy. And we've spoken a little bit about strategy before. You need to know what type of property you want to buy. Is it student accommodation? Is it residential for families? Is it multi-let? Is it retail? Is it commercial office? Is it industrial? You need to decide your strategy. Then you need to decide the area in which you're going to buy. So you've got your strategy, you're going to go student accommodation, or in Jared's case, for example, you want to do Airbnb type things. You've decided on your strategy. Now, instead of willy-nilly looking across the board to just find a property and then deciding, you've now decided, and now you can look at particular properties that will benefit you within your strategy. So the next thing is, now you say, I've got my strategy. The next thing I want to see, which area am I going to purchase in? I personally prefer to purchase in areas close by, places that I understand, I know, I'm acquainted with it, I've visited friends and family there, and I know the area. So that when I buy that property, I know what I'm buying. Whereas if you go into an area where you don't understand, then all of a sudden you end up with a property that could be taken over by drug lords. Before you know it, your property is no longer under your control, but you're still paying the bond because you owe the bank money. So understand the area, know the area before you decide on the strategy first and then your area. Then building a good network, a network of real estate agents, a network of investors, a network of people that can help you to not only find deals, but also fund the deals. So those are the types of networks that you need to build around you. People that have properties or can find properties, whether that be real estate agents or other sourcing agents, etc., or just friends and family that can be on the lookout. And you can maybe pay them a commission, a sourcing fee for finding those deals for you. And then on the other side, you need investors, because if you want to build a property portfolio, no man is an island or no woman is an island. None of us can continue to purchase property on our own if we want to build a property portfolio. So you need to find that network of people that are going to be investors with you in order to build your property portfolio. Then the next thing, do your due diligence. If you want to find and create and make good deals, you need to make sure that the property you're buying is what they are selling. We spoke a little bit earlier in last week, I think we spoek about the whole Voetstoets clause. And we need to be very careful, especially in that clause, because when we don't do our due diligence, we could find ourselves in trouble where there's water coming up from underneath the ground, or even a sewer possibly coming up into your kitchen. The roof tiles may be coming loose, etc. So always do your due diligence so that if anything is wrong, you can get quotes for it, and you can have either the seller fix it before you take transfer, or you drop the price by the cost of whatever it is you're going to have to do to get it up to rentable space. All right. So you then have a negotiation tool to say to the seller, listen, your property isn't up to scratch. I want to drop the price by 20,000 Rand, or you fix the roof before I take transfer. And that's what the due diligence is for. And then finally, you make your offer. Once you are satisfied that you've got your strategy, you've got your area, your networks are there, your due diligence has been done, you found the right property, make your offer. Guys, I cannot stress this enough. So many times we have people on our program and outside of our program who just can't get going. They keep analyzing deals to death, but they never put pen to paper and make the offer because they are scared, there's fear, their family is telling them they shouldn't do it, etc. There are a whole host of reasons why people do not eventually put pen to paper and buy their property. You need to take action. Nobody's going to take action for you. If you find the deal, you've structured the deal, and you're making the deal work, then put in the offer. Take action. All right. Now, I quickly just want to talk about understanding how the market works, just a little bit, so that you get a brief and vague idea, or a little bit of an idea of how the market works. All right. So, when there's a seller's market, what do I mean by a seller's market? A seller's market is when there are very few sellers in the market and a lot of buyers. All right. So you've got a whole lot of people clamoring for property to invest in or to live in, and very few sellers actually wanting to sell. So therefore, the sellers can actually inflate their prices as much as they want to because there are so many buyers out there. That's what they call a seller's market, where there are too little sellers and too many buyers. What happens in the seller's market? Interest rates rise. There's an oversupply in the market. And then it slowly starts to die. The market comes to an end. Then it turns, the lending criteria of banks start to become stricter. Minimization of construction in your area. You'll see very little actual construction going on in your area. And then it becomes a buyer's market. Once it becomes a buyer's market, now all of a sudden, there are too many sellers in the market and too few buyers. So you'll see there the correlation. Where there's too little of something, it is the market for those people. So if there's too little buyers, then it's a buyer's market. If there are too little sellers, it's a seller's market. And the cycle continues like this all the time. Once there's a buyer's market, the interest rates start to decline, the banks start lending more money, the market pushes up, and then prices start to increase, rentals start to increase, unit prices start to increase, and then it comes all the way back again to becoming a seller's market. Now, these cycles can be anything from 7 to 12 years. And sometimes it can be a very short space of time, depending on the climate within that country or that area or that city or municipality or province. And in some cases, in fact, in certain cities, you can have a seller's market, and in other cities, you can have a buyer's market, just depending on the climate in those municipalities and cities and so on. So that's sort of the idea in terms of the circular nature of the market within property. And you need to understand that. The next thing you need to understand is why people are motivated to sell. So I'm going through these things very quickly because I really just want you to get an understanding of these things. And we don't really have much time, unfortunately, on a daily basis. And we don't want to keep you for hours and hours listening to me talk. So I'm just going through the brief understanding of each of these topics so that you get an understanding of what you need to do to become a property investor. So why do people sell? There's death. So somebody owns a property and there's a death. The person who owns the property dies, and now the children or the wife or the husband doesn't want to take ownership of that property, and they now want to sell the property so that they can get the cash out. There's divorce. Husband and wife decide they no longer love each other, or in some cases, the kids are grown up and they realize that they never really loved one another. Whatever the case may be, there's a divorce. And therefore, because there's a divorce, they now have to sell the property possibly and then buy two smaller properties for the husband and the wife. Job relocation. I've often had to go through this myself, where I've had to move to Joburg and back to Cape Town again. When you relocate, you don't always want to hold on to your property because you don't want to manage a property that's in a city that's distant to where you are. So most likely when you relocate to another city for a job, you'd want to sell. Then there's the matter of children, either when you have children or when they move out of the house. When you have children, obviously you want to sell your smaller place for a bigger place. When your children move out of the house, you want to sell your bigger property for a smaller property. So children can influence the sale of a property in two ways. Then there are health issues and retirement first. When you decide to retire, normally you want to downscale because you don't have the money to keep up your expenses or your lifestyle. Then there's health issues. Sometimes you get sick and you need a property that is within a complex where there are nurses, where there are care facilities, etc. So you now need to move out of your property into a care facility. Sometimes it's bad property management. Sometimes the taxes are just too high for you to pay. There's unforeseen credit in your life that you have to cover. And now you have to sell your property in order to take the profits to pay off your debt. Sometimes there's a drug problem in the family. Sometimes just normal bad credit, consumer debt, student loans, and a whole host of other reasons. But these are sort of the 14 top reasons why people sell. And what you need to do as a potential investor is to look out for these signs. When you see around you in your neighborhood, people are struggling, not only is there an opportunity for you, but there's also an opportunity for you to help bail those people out. Because this is not about a stab and grab kind of concept where you see something and you just want to rip those people off. No, you are also helping them to get out of the trouble that they are in. But obviously, because you're an investor, you also need to get something in return to be able to purchase the property at a lower value than what it normally would go for when it's in the marketplace. So you can negotiate privately with that seller if they're in one of these scenarios. All right. So I think that's it in terms of the presentation for today. So guys, Matt, Al, Jared, based on everything that I've just spoken about, is there anything that you want to ask before we shut down for the day?
I don't want to ask anything. I just want to comment on the fact that I think that's where sort of you got to check your how ethical you are in the sense, you know. As you mentioned, it's not just about, oh, here's a quick deal, I want to increase my property portfolio, because I also just believe in positive energy and what you're putting out there, you know, and the way that you do things will translate into how successful you are. And I believe in God, I believe in a higher power, and so I think just putting positivity out there and doing things the right way, like you say, helping people out, not just being a shark trying to make your quick buck. I think that's a good way or good element to add into all of this as well, because you get so focused on making the deal, striking the deal, getting the best deal at all costs. You know, I think it's cool that you've mentioned that as well.
Yeah, no, you're 100% correct. That's why I said, you know, we don't want to rip people off. We want to be able to help them while helping ourselves. Because obviously, you know, at the end of the day, we're investors. We want to invest in property. And if we're going to pay above market rate to help somebody out, then we're going to get ourselves into trouble. So there has to be a quid pro quo. You assisting them to get out of the trouble they're in, but at the same time, making sure that it's still profitable for you as a business person.
Because like you said, understanding why someone is selling is leverage, but there is kind of like a boundary of like, you don't want to sell somebody down the road, you know?
100%. Natal, anything from you? Questions, comments?
No, I just think I definitely agree with the initial statement that you made, that there's really no good deal. It's about you doing your due diligence, first of all, to actually make sure you have a deal in the situation that you're looking at. And yeah, it's very important to always figure out, what's the reason a person is buying, because yes, it could potentially put you in a space to be able to leverage, in terms of selling price, what the situation is, because if they're desperate, or it's a case of time is not on their side. Sometimes you even find deals of like people just deciding they're leaving the country, they're moving somewhere else. So they're really just willing to sell the property. So it's always important to understand the reason why, someone is potentially selling, but it's business at the end of the day. So if I can assist you, in a position that you're in, for example, you might be really behind on your levies. So that's something we can negotiate into the purchase price as well. So I can help you as much as you're helping me to also buy under market value. Because yes, at the end of the day, we're human. So we do need to, consider people's situations and whatever they're going through. At the same time, in business, you need to be smart. So wherever you can, save a buck or two, you really should, use it in the negotiation. But again, assisting the other person to, come out of the situation that they're in.
Awesome. So guys, thank you for your time again. I think that's it for today. Tomorrow we actually are going to talk about the two reasons why people buy property. So that was a little bit of a mistake on my side, but for today, thank you guys. Thank you, Jared. Thank you, Matt L. And thank you to you guys out there watching us. And we hope again that you're following this journey, that you too can purchase your first property as an investment. So guys, thank you very much. We'll see you tomorrow again.